Hi guys, Jerry here from the Military Collectible Shop. I just wanted to check in and say hi. We miss all of you, and we hope to see you all soon. I wanted to talk a little bit today about how I got started collecting militaria. Long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. No, that's another story. All right. When I was a little kid, I was too a little kid. All right. But when I was a little kid, I started building model airplanes, putting together the little model airplane kits. And on some of the kits, I had noticed that you could send in for some free historical patches. And I was kind of enamored by that. And then it triggered something in my 9-year-old brain that I had seen before. And so I went up to the attic and I dug around through all the boxes and way back into the back of the attic. And I found what was my grandfather's box of patches that he had actually collected during the war. My grandfather worked for International Harvester here in Milwaukee. He was too old to join the war effort, but he worked in the factory making 75 millimeter shells. And anyways, he collected everything. He was a collector of the day. He collected stamps and coins and bus passes. There's an old family joke that even when the buses were on strike, he made my grandma go and get the bus passes so he'd have a complete set. He collected cigar wrappers. But anyways, he collected military patches. And I had basically inherited that box of patches. And I was enamored by them. I was struck by the colors and the symbols. And it was like a whole new group of hieroglyphics. I knew they all meant something, but I didn't know what they meant. So then I began my quest to figure out what each patch was for, when it was from, what the unit was, and it kind of spiraled on from there. And my collection has spiraled on from there too. I went from patches to uniforms and helmets and weapons and just about everything you could possibly collect. I just bought a patch collection. I'm very excited. So actually, we're gonna look at it together. I haven't seen them. We're gonna go through them together because I thought that would be something fun to do. And since the shop has been closed due to the COVID-19 things, this could be something fun to do together. So hold on and let's take a look at those patches. Patch collecting can be a really rewarding facet of the militaria hobby, and it's a great way for kids to get started, and even older people who are just kids at heart to get started. One, because they're still plentiful. There's still a lot of patches around. You can still find many World War II ones. There's modern patches. There's all kinds of different patches you can collect. Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines. All kinds of different patches, and you can generally find them, again, relatively inexpensively. Prices do go up with rarity, but you can still find some decent patches. It's also kind of neat because you can, a lot of my friends that I know, they tend to be more organized with their patches, and they put them in binders. They sort them, they categorize them, they catalog them, and they store up nicely in binders that can just be kept on a bookshelf. So it's another great kind of thing for a kid to get involved with because it doesn't take up a lot of space. Most of my patches that I have, a lot of them actually I still have in the original box I had gotten from my grandfather. But some of them I have pulled out and I put in the flat, what we call Riker mounts, which are kind of these glass cases. They're originally designed for butterflies, these cases. That's why they carry the name Riker, because they were the first manufacturer of these, what were then known as butterfly cases. So a lot of different patches, and again, each patch has some symbology to it, kind of inherent with the unit. Like this happens to be a 3rd armored patch. It's got the big 3, okay, nothing super interesting there. But what's neat about this patch is it actually combines the blue of the infantry, the red of the artillery, and the yellow of the cavalry. And they did that back in World War I. That started out being the armored triangle because they had felt that it took all those parts and put them together in this one new tank force. So that still carries through to this day. A couple of my friends served in the 3rd over in Germany. Obviously, the big red one, as we call it, the 1st Infantry Division. Something a little more obvious, 75th Infantry Division. Some you have to look a little bit harder to get the meaning out of. This one is the 44th Division. Shout out to Rick's father on this one. They fought through Europe. The 100th Division. Now, one of the interesting things about patches is that a lot of times there's what they call variants. And variants are either through design or just by a mistake at the factory. Like with this 100th one, sometimes you'll find the yellow on the bottom as it's supposed to be, but sometimes, because they messed up, the yellow of the numbers will be on the top, and that's a more rarer variant. So if you ever hear the term variant, that's where it comes from. Most of these patches in these boxes were actually American made at the American factories. You will find some that are what we call theater made, where they were made in the theater of operation that the guys were stationed. And so you'll see a wide variety of those kind of things made up. Now this is actually a small example of a theater-made patch. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, these are just some overseas bars. They wore them on their sleeve for 6 months for each bar for overseas service. But this was actually made up in Germany, probably. It's what we call a bevo weave. Very typical German. So this would have been done during the occupation when the U.S. forces were occupying Germany. Okay. So a big variety of patches, lots of colors, lots of different meanings, lots of variants, lots of things to collect. And makes it fun, and kids and adults are still collecting patches, and again, they still can be had reasonably for the most part. There are some very expensive patches out there, but for any beginning collector, it's best to start out small. You can get all the divisions. Get the 1st Division, the 2nd Division, the 3rd Division, 4th Division, 5th Division, so on and so forth. And you can go to the cavalries, 1st Cavalry, 2nd Cavalry, 3rd Cavalry. Keep going. Get all the cavalries. You can get the armored forces. We had the 3rd. We got the 9th. We got another 3rd. That makes the 12th. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so a lot of different patches you can get at. Let's put these away for now, and let's take a look at the patch collection I just bought. All right, this is actually the box I was looking for. So this is the patch collection I just bought. I haven't gone through it yet, but we're going to go through it together and kind of see what's in there. Sometimes when we buy things that are shipped to us, it's a little sketchy. People don't have cameras to send pictures. Their flip phone camera pictures aren't the best. So let's see what we got. No note. Nothing. All right. Brrr. Nice old box. Always a good sign. Okay, cool. So right off the bat, I'm just going to dump these out. Right off the bat, kind of a neat one. This is actually the 97th Division, but what makes it kind of unique are the colors that are used in this one. Typically, we'll see a little bit more of an orange used. This is a lot more yellow, so that's kind of a good one. Oh, this is nice. This is the 1st pattern Army Air Forces, what they call the pinwheel, with an OD border, which makes it kind of interesting too. So that's another nice early patch that was rendered obsolete at the beginning of the war. All right, here's a 45th Division patch, the Thunderbird. In the 1930s, their patch was actually a swastika, which was the Native American symbol for the Thunderbird, because they were actually based out of New Mexico. So again, a lot of patches have meaning, kind of hidden within themselves. Once it was realized that the Nazis were actually using the swastika, the American Army decided, hey, we should probably use something else. So they went with the more graphic representation of the Thunderbird on the 45th Division patch. Oh, this is a good one. This is a felt 2nd Division patch. Typically, we'll see the embroidered types, but this is actually a felt type. I don't know if you can see. I've got the embroidered one here and the felt one here. So that's a good patch. Got a felt 40th. We actually have some German shoulder boards in here. Didn't know that was coming. That's nice. And some Japanese shoulder boards. We don't discriminate. Some collar tabs. Japanese collar tabs. Some Ranger Arcs, 2nd Rangers. These were the guys that landed at Pointe du Hoc on Normandy. 34th Division, some more Japanese stuff. 11th Armored. Airborne. There's Airborne Command. That's a decent one. We've got a couple of what we call the greenbacks. This is kind of a collectorism, but the early patches, they were actually when they were made before the war kind of really got going, they were still using green bobbin thread on the backs of the patches, just as, you know, hey, who cares? It's the back of the patch. But when the war hit, we realized, oh my God, we're going to need all that green thread and all that green dye we can get. Think Lucky Strike goes green. Remember Lucky Strike cigarettes? You shouldn't smoke, but if you do, smoke Lucky Strike. Anyways, their package went from green to white because they wanted to stop using the green dye because we needed it for the war effort. Anyways, this is collectors look for these early greenbacks, so that's kind of fun. These are generally considered the first issuance of the patches, and you can definitely tell that these are World War II vintage. Later on, they switched to white back, and so collectors want to see nice white snowy backed patches. Yeah. Oh, this is a good one. This is the Kiska Task Force, and it's still actually got, that's cool, it's still got the little tag on it that says Kiska Task Force. So that's fun. Oh, nice airborne hat patch on twill. And again, the different types of manufacturing make patches more or less interesting to collectors. Oh, here's another. This is the 97th Division one. This is what a normal one looks like. I don't know if I can find that other one again and do a compare and contrast. Another greenback 3rd Army. That's Patton's 3rd Army. You probably heard of them. 4th Army, or 4th Division, sorry. Don't kill me. 1st Cavalry. Oh, this is a good one. 17th Airborne. And what's neat about this one is this has what they call the opposed claw. So see how 2 of the claw, I don't know if you can see this. I'll try to do a close-up of this cutaway. But see how the little claw is bent in on both sides? In the original, or the more common design, there 3 of them are going one way and the thumb is going the other way. So that they call that the reverse claw one. That's kind of sought after. Another German shoulder board. 90th Division. A couple World War I. The World War I patches are generally made out of wool felt. So that's kind of nice. And a lot of people collect World War I patches. Another embroidered. That's an embroidered one. Oh, one of my favorites, the 101st Screaming Eagles. What's neat about this patch, besides just the whole 101st Normandy and all that sort of thing, Band of Brothers, but the Screaming Eagles were actually, the 101st Division was actually formed here in Milwaukee in 1918. It only existed for about 6 months. And they had their headquarters unit downtown Milwaukee, where we have what's called the Federal Building is there now. But they had their headquarters there. Because of the lineage and the history of that, the bird, the eagle, is actually Old Abe of Civil War fame, who was carried by the Wisconsin Regiment, I believe it's the 8th Wisconsin, that carried into battle, a live eagle, who used to, the Confederates hated him. But anyways, he was honored by being on that patch, and that carried through, even though the division in World War I didn't see any action and was shut down. When it was reactivated in I believe 1942, they stuck with the Eagle, and then they became the Airborne unit. And this is an attached tab. And even with this patch, there's a lot of different variants. There's about 14 different variants of this patch that collectors can collect. So collectors love to collect these types of patches. Another Airborne one. It's always the one you're looking for you can't find. Here's another World War I one. This is the 42nd Division on wool, made out of wool felt. Oh, tank destroyers. My Uncle Joe was attached to the tank destroyers. He was with the 541st Heavy Maintenance Battalion. Oh, that's kind of neat. This is French from the Maginot Line. It says they shall not pass. And they didn't. They went around, knocked on the back door. Hello? Is anyone home? 29th Division, they landed at Normandy. 33rd Division, they're from Illinois. Call them the toll payers. 32nd Division, the Red Arrow, famous Red Arrow. 1st Ranger, 3rd Ranger. These are what we call arc patches, where they were worn a little different than a normal patch. 82nd Airborne. Actually saw more combat than the 101st, but doesn't get the props. But still, both famous fighting units. 30th Division, they were at Normandy. The mighty 8th. Army Air Force's patches are very collectible. The 8th Air Force. You can never find the one you're looking for. Well, I'm pretty happy with this. A lot of nice patches in here. A couple I wasn't expecting. A couple variants I wasn't expecting. Some more German stuff I wasn't expecting. Japanese things I wasn't expecting. So it's always fun. It's like a little Christmas bonus. Oh, the China, Burma, India Theater patch. These are neat because a lot of variants exist of these. You'll find these in American-made embroidered, as well as bullion, hand-done or crocheted almost patches. Those are neat. I actually collect variants of these myself. All right. Don't worry. Here we go. Well, that was worth the wait. Okay, so here we have the kind of the traditional common patch and the kind of variant in the yellow, a little bit of thicker border patch. Interesting thing about this division is it spent the entire war in Hawaii. So knee deep in the bush, as we say. All right, fighting the Battle of Chow Line. But hey, the Japanese hit there once. They could have come back. All right, so a lot of great patches. I hope that this has been at least somewhat informative for you. If nothing else, it's given me something to do. So take care, be safe. Drop us a line, email us, let us know how you're doing. Let us know how you got started collecting. What was the thing that started you in your own collecting journey? Again, for me, it was patches. Finding those early American patches and just being enamored by the colors and the numbers and the symbology. What got you started? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. So again, I'm Jerry from the Military Collectible Shop. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.